So today, we're going to talk about a place that is just shrouded in mystery and, honestly, a deep sense of reverence. We're talking about Mount Kailash. It's this sacred peak in the Himalayas that, get this, is thousands of meters shorter than Everest, but has never, ever been climbed.
I mean, the stories you hear about this mountain are just wild. People seriously claim that if you get near the summit, time itself just speeds up, aging climbers decades in just a few days. Now, that is a pretty sensational claim, right? But believe me, it is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the mysteries of Kailash.
And that's the central question, isn't it? It's a puzzle that has fascinated everyone from explorers to spiritual seekers for, well, centuries. What is it about this one mountain that just keeps humanity at bay?
To really put this into perspective for you, Mount Everest, which is over 2,000 meters taller, is practically a highway for climbers. We're talking thousands and thousands of people have stood on its peak. But Kailash? It remains completely untouched, a big fat zero on the number of successful summits. So you know right away, this isn't just about how hard it is to climb.
To even begin to understand why, we have to look beyond geology and into the world of belief. Because the first, and honestly the most important reason Kailash is unclimbed is its incredible religious significance.
For literally billions of people, this isn't just a pile of rock and ice. It is the sacred center of the entire world. Four major Eastern religions, we're talking Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and the ancient Bone faith, all consider Kailash to be their most holy site. For Hindus, it's the home of Lord Shiva himself. For Buddhists, it's where Buddha Chakrasamvara resides. For Jains, it's the exact spot where their first spiritual leader achieved enlightenment. And for the followers of Bone, it is the literal axis mundi, the pillar that connects our world to the heavens. So you see, trying to climb it would be like stomping all over the roof of a cathedral with muddy boots.
But faith, it's only part of the story. Over the years, this thick layer of myth and mystery has just built up around Kailash, and it fuels all sorts of fantastic claims you see online. Let's take a look at some of the most popular ones.
Okay, first up is the claim about its shape. A lot of people believe Kailash isn't a natural mountain at all, but a massive man-made pyramid, that it was perfectly built by some ancient, super-advanced civilization. They say its four distinct faces align perfectly with north, south, east, and west.
Then you've got the two lakes right at its base, and they perfectly illustrate this idea of duality. They're side by side, but they are polar opposites. Manasarovar is a freshwater lake, just teeming with life, a symbol of purity. But then, just a few kilometers away, you have Rakashas Tal. It's a saltwater lake, completely barren, and it's known as the Demon Lake. Strange, right?
And this brings us right back to that wild time travel claim. The most famous story, the one you'll hear repeated over and over again online, tells of a group of Siberian climbers who supposedly tried to climb it, only to age super rapidly and die within a year. It's a really chilling tale that suggests some kind of supernatural force is guarding that peak. And finally, there's the claim of its perfect geometric placement on Earth. The theory goes that it's exactly 6,666 kilometers from the North Pole and from Stonehenge, and then exactly double that from the South Pole. But when you actually check the real distances, well, the numbers are close, but they're not the perfect mystical alignment that the story claims.
So, a sacred mountain, an ancient pyramid, maybe even a time machine. The stories are incredible, but what happens when we try to separate all these myths from the actual reality?
Well, here's the thing. People have actually tried to climb it. Way back in the 1920s, British explorers found its faces to be incredibly steep. But, and this is a big but, a viable route to the summit was identified. So the key takeaway here is that while it is really, really difficult, it's not physically impossible.
So why didn't they just go for it? Well, the real turning point came in 1985. The legendary climber Reinhold Messner, this guy was the first person to climb all 14 of the world's 8,000-meter peaks. He was offered a permit by China. He was the most qualified man on the entire planet, but he refused. And he gave this incredibly powerful reason, saying you just don't do that. He chose respect over conquest.
And that single act of respect really set a precedent. So when a Spanish team got a permit in 2001, the international outcry was so huge that they had to cancel their expedition. In response, China officially and permanently banned all climbing on Mount Kailash. So the reason the mountain is unclimbable today isn't because of a mystical force, it's because of a legal ban.
period. Okay, so this brings us back to all those fantastic stories. If the real reason is just a climbing ban, then where on earth did all the talk about time dilation and ancient civilizations and supernatural guardians actually come from? Well, it turns out most of these claims can be traced back to one single person, a guy named Dr. Ernst Moldashev. And here's the kicker. He wasn't a geologist, he wasn't a physicist, he wasn't an archaeologist, he was an eye surgeon.
And his theories about Kailash, they were just the beginning. Moldashev also claimed to believe in mermaids and vampires. He said he found Dracula's real castle underground. He completely rejected evolution, and he claimed to have met actual telepathic superhumans in India. And maybe not surprisingly, his claims about Kailash have never been published in any peer-reviewed scientific journal.
The real scientific explanations for all these wonders are a lot more grounded. That pyramid shape? It's a natural formation called a horn, and it's carved by glaciers, just like the famous Matterhorn in Switzerland. The two lakes? Rock Shastal has no outlet, so minerals build up as the water evaporates, making it salty. Manasarova has an outflow that keeps it fresh. Simple. And the headaches and disorientation that climbers feel? Those are just classic, well-documented symptoms of severe altitude sickness from a lack of oxygen.
So, okay, this science pretty clearly debunks the pseudoscience. Does that mean Mount Kailash isn't special? Not at all. In fact, it actually points to a much more profound and honestly, a much more real miracle.
Look, the legends of time travel and ancient pyramids might be fiction, but the power of this place is absolutely real. Its power just doesn't lie in some invisible force field. It lies in the hearts and minds of billions of people.
Think about it. In a world where we as a species have conquered everything from the deepest trenches of the ocean to the surface of the moon, this is the one place where we have all collectively agreed to just stop. The world's greatest mountaineers, international organizations, even governments have all made a conscious choice to leave this one peak alone.
And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The true mystery of Mount Kailash isn't whether it's an alien pyramid or a time machine. The real wonder is that it teaches us that maybe some things aren't meant for conquest. Maybe they're meant for reverence. So the question isn't why can't we climb it? It's why should we?